The Four Horsemen is a concept coming from the Gottman Institute. The idea behind the Four Horsemen is this: there are four conversation strategies that people sometimes use to connect with each other. Unfortunately, though, it fizzles the relationship. So it will lead to an argument, but more than that, over time, it's going to deteriorate the connection that a couple feels. But there's more to say about that, though, because there's something that's underneath the Four Horsemen that's really important for couples to be aware of as they're trying to reconnect. My name is Rick from rickgrundytherapy.com. The Four Horsemen are criticism, defensiveness, stonewalling, and contempt. Those are all very, very bad. Like, you do not want to use these in a conversation. Criticism is somebody, you're perceiving somebody as blaming you for somebody. To say the word you a lot, you feel attacked. Defensiveness, when you experience somebody acting defensively, it looks like they're going into explaining a lot. They look like they're maybe problem solving. They're trying to defend them, like their worth. I am just as worthy to be in this relationship as you. Something like that. It looks like they are not taking responsibility for something they have done. Stonewalling, that's somebody just leaves the conversation. They're either standing right there, but you're not getting anything out of them. They're like frozen. Might as well be talking to a brick wall. Or they'll just leave the conversation. Or they may say they'll just unilaterally shut it down. It's like, no, we're not talking about this right now, and just end things. Then contempt. Of the four, contempt is the worst. Contempt tends to be just your name calling. There's a one-up attitude, lots of sarcastic tones and put downs. That's the worst one. Legitimate push away moves. Okay, but all is not lost. I see a lot of couples who come to me in therapy, in couples therapy, demonstrating all of the Four Horsemen. They're easy to see because they're emotionally expressive and they're very loud. It's easy to see these styles. What's not easy to see is the emotions that lie underneath them, which tend to be a plea or a cry for help, wanting more connection. It's so important to understand the role of the Four Horsemen, or at least the desire behind the Four Horsemen. So criticism, that one that feels like you're being blamed for something. Underneath the criticism tends to be a heart that's actually lonely. Criticism tends to come from a lonely heart. It's a heart that would say something like, I wish I had more of you in this particular area of my life. I wish I had a partner in you in this particular aspect of our relationship. But because it's a sad and lonely heart, what happens is the emotional tone is dialed up so loudly that it can cause pain because it comes across as criticism. So criticism is what we observe, but the heart is saying, I want more of you. So it's not actually saying I don't want the relationship, don't want you. It's actually saying I want more of you. But you can't hear the heart under the criticism because it's too loud and painful. Defensiveness. When you see somebody being defensive, they're either explaining themselves or they're problem solving, or they're certainly not taking responsibility. Well, yeah, no kidding, because underneath the defensiveness is a heart. It's actually afraid. It's afraid that they are being judged as unworthy or unvaluable. So it's a heart that says, I'm afraid that you don't see any value in me. I'm afraid that you don't actually see what it is I'm contributing to the relationship, how I'm showing up for you, how I'm supporting you, the sacrifice I'm making for you, this family, this couple, to whatever you're in. And so, no, there can't be any taking of responsibility, because that would kind of admit defeat, that, yeah, I guess I am unworthy of this relationship and I guess we have to end it. That's the fear that the heart says under the defensiveness. So the heart wants to be seen as valuable. The heart wants to be valued. So what it does, it raises the emotional tone to get noticed, but the emotions are so loud that it causes pain. And so it's not going to serve you well. Stonewalling. Stonewalling is somebody when somebody shuts down the conversation. The heart underneath stonewalling is protective. So even though you may see somebody as saying, we're not talking about this, shutting down, walking away, the heart tends to be something like this. I am afraid that if I continue in the conversation, I will hurt you. And also, I'm afraid that you're going to hurt me. I don't want to hurt you. I don't think you want to hurt me. And if we continue to talk, I think we together are going to hurt the relationship. So we need to protect what we have. The very best way of protecting safety is to shut the conversation down. It comes from a heart wanting to protect each other and the condition of the relationship. But you can't see the protection. The emotional volume is turned up so loudly that it's only causing pain. It's not being received as you want it to be. Contempt is awkward. Contempt is tricky. It's not always the same. Sometimes, well, the heart underneath all this is not always the same. I'm giving you some broad strokes here, some generalizations to give you some hope. Generally speaking, this is what we find underneath the emotions underneath the Four Horsemen. Contempt is different, though. Contempt is the worst of the four. But what I find sometimes underneath the heart of contempt is actually hopelessness or despair. It's a heart that stopped believing. It's a heart that would say, I've been at this so long, I no longer believe that change is possible. I no longer believe that investing in you is a good idea because there's no ROI and there's no return here. It's a heart that's kind of given up, but it's also a heart that's still in the relationship that wants to be rescued. It's a heart that says, please change my mind. I'm on my way out. Please change my mind. Right? You're not going to hear that heart. You are not going to hear the heart of contempt, because when somebody's swearing at you, calling you names, being offensive, sarcastic, I'm not talking about aggression. I'm not talking about abuse here. I mean, it can sound like abuse. I mean, it can sound aggressive, but it's really just somebody who is trying to create distance, not actually trying to be aggressive, trying to create distance. And they do it by name calling. They do it by sarcastic tones. It really hurts. You are not going to see the heart of hopelessness and despair that is inviting the other person to change their mind. There are antidotes to all these. There are antidotes. There is a way forward. Like the antidote for criticism is called gentle startups. There is a 3-sentence structure for turning criticism into something that actually is vulnerable communication that invites the other person to stay in the conversation, doesn't trigger them into defensiveness. The antidote for defensiveness, the Gottmans call it listening for understanding. I call it a gentle listening. There is a 3-step approach to showing up as a listener that will be empathetic and will communicate to the other person that you actually understand, which will help to calm that other person down. So both of you are less likely to have an escalating conversation. The antidote to stonewalling. Now, sometimes people call this taking breaks, but stonewalling is taking a break from the conversation. It doesn't land very well. The antidote to stonewalling is actually a process. The first thing you have to do, you've got to name it, and then you got to calm it, and then you got to come back. That's a kind of a 3-step process. You got to call it out. I think we're escalated right now. Let's pause, but we're going to pause, do something specific. This is actually a self-soothing break. That's all this is. We're going to calm down, either using some kind of grounding techniques or some distraction for a few minutes. And then we're going to come back together and we're going to restart with gentle startups and gentle listening to continue the conversation. So it's not just taking a break. It's actually a complex process to calm down the escalation and make sure that the nervous system gets what it needs so that the brain is much calmer. The antidote to contempt is a little bit more complex. Please see a therapist. Absolutely, if you're there. The antidote to contempt, one of the antidotes to contempt is changing the culture of the relationship, leaning into fondness and admiration, taking a risk that if you were to give a gentler side of yourself and just begin or continue with giving compliments, pointing out strengths, trying to share whatever level of affection is safe at this level, you're changing the experience the other person has of you. You're taking responsibility by saying that the culture of this relationship is on both of us. I'm going to change my contribution for what you experience of me so that you experience me as somebody who is gentler, safer, and somebody that's actually investing in you. And then the other person, as they experience that, slowly they'll calm down too, and they'll recognize it as normal, and they may begin to start co-contributing to fondness and admiration as the two of you can work together to change the culture of the relationship. There are antidotes, and yeah, it's a lot of work. And yeah, a couple therapists can help. A Gottman trained couple therapists can really help. Why are the Four Horsemen in relationships? Often the Four Horsemen are in relationships because the couple is working hard to try to reach each other, but the conversation pattern that they're using is actually destructive. So there are antidotes there. There's a lot of hope. There's antidotes because underneath it are emotions that say, I still want you. Okay, I am Rick from rickgrundytherapy.com. And if you think I can be helpful for you or your couple's journey, please go to my website. You can book me online there. You can ask for a free consult. Rick at rickgrundytherapy.com. Until next time, you rock.